Healing trauma involves tears.
Rooted TV, where we stay rooted to the community, to the streets, and to the people. Got a special guest today, Jac Rip. We're gonna get into it.
Okay, I cried last night, and the day before that. My heart been so heavy and I can't ignore that. I smile for all y'all and I feel like a doormat, and I'm not, but it seems these tears is all that I got. I need some love, y'all. I need some hugs, y'all. Them hard ones where your back get the rubs, y'all. And it's been hard to pray. I guess I lost my way. Exactly when? I don't know. It's hard to say. I've been waking up hoping that I don't cry today. I need a smile today, hoping the sun shine today. I need a blessing to come around my way. Used to be optimistic, I always found a way, but now my spirit is timid. Is this payback for my sin?
Hey man, say man, we right here with the legend. I could say legend. The recording artist, entrepreneur, carpenter, everything in one. Darnell Jackson, man. Jac Rip, man.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? Glad to have you on Rooted TV, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you reaching out.
Most definitely, man. So I know you personally. So for the people that, don't know, tell a little bit about your upbringing.
Man, I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. On the east side of Buffalo, New York. I lived up there until I was 15. Then I moved down here to Cartersville in the 10th grade. And man, from there, started doing music toward like my junior year in high school. Senior year in high school, I started doing some music, and after high school and stuff, I just really started pursuing that and just went the whole independent route and stuff.
So up in Buffalo, before you moved, like how was it up there? Because I heard Buffalo was kind of rough.
Yeah. I mean, when you growing up in it, that's all you know. You don't understand that it's rough.
Yeah.
It's the norm. But yeah, just like every hood, it has its goods and bads. I had a good childhood, you know what I'm saying? But I probably, like, you don't realize until you older some of the things that you was witness to or things that you was part of. You don't realize it probably wasn't the best things for you to be going through and stuff like that. So, you deal with the same stuff that, every black person deal with growing up in a hood, dealing with poverty and drugs, violence and stuff like that. So, I've had, family members and friends and stuff, get killed and stuff in the streets and everything. My father was in prison, for a short time while I was in middle school, going into high school. I had family members that was, addicted to drugs and stuff like that. So multiple cousins that's got shot and killed and everything. So that was part of the reason we moved down here. Like at 15, really like at 14, my mom came down here to Georgia and she realized, she didn't want me to stay in that environment. So when she came down here to visit, she just was like, she called back home, was like, hey, you moving in with my sister on the west side, finish out school, then you moving down here to Georgia, so I'm thinking, we about to move to Atlanta, back in the mid 90s and stuff like that. I'm thinking, all right, shoot, Outkast, Jermaine Dupri, I'm about to go down to Atlanta and everything like that and see all these stars and stuff. Man, we moved to Cartersville, Georgia in 1994, and it was worlds different. You know what I'm saying? We moved into a trailer park that was across the street from a cow pasture. And so I was like, I ain't never seen nothing like that before. I grew up in a concrete jungle. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, I mean, we had some rough situations up in Buffalo, but man, I had fun. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. So it was like, we was outside, drinking from the water hose, riding bikes all day, you know what I'm saying? Just doing stuff that kids do in the 90s and stuff like that. So, I had fun. I mean, of course you deal with different things like everybody deal with, but it was cool.
Yeah. So, coming to Cartersville, and you say you went to high school down here as well, and that's when you start pursuing your music.
Yeah. So like in Buffalo, I mean, I ain't never really take it serious. We just all huddled up together on the side of the street freestyling, and it was a guy that lived right across the street from me. We moved a lot growing up. I was talking to my wife, and I think by the time I turned 18, I think I moved 10 different times.
Since 18?
Like from a kid all the way up to 18.
Yeah.
Like we moved a lot.
Like
house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Like 10 different places.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of moving. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the guy across the street from me, he was a DJ. And so like he always we go over his house, and plus he's older than us, you know what I'm saying? So he was the cool dude, to be hang out on the block with. So we heard music and stuff from him. He always get access to new things and stuff. He actually put me on the Outkast, and then I started putting other people on the Outkast and everything. But yeah, we freestyle and play around. But when I moved down here to Cartersville, man, I was riding on a bus, and my homeboy Sean Knox, they call him Mr. Knox. He actually had a song, you know what I'm saying, like where he actually wrote verses and had a hook and would recite it for us on the bus. And that was different for me because I'm just used to cats just freestyling and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he actually had a song, so he he kind of motivated me. I moved down here, like I grew up. I like Nas, Wu-Tang, A Tribe Called Quest. Like the Bush Babies, all those like East Coast stuff. Outkast was like my first time really hearing anything from the South. And then when I moved down here, I heard 8 Ball and MJG, stuff like that. And Sean put me on a lot of that stuff. So like he kind of motivated me to really actually start writing music, writing verses. Because I used to, back then, you listen to the radio and you write verses down, like from your favorite rappers and stuff. And that's how I used to learn the songs, was writing their verses. And that kind of taught me how to write music, like the format on how to write verses and hooks, because I would write my favorite rappers' music and stuff down. And yeah, so that's how I really started doing it. And then, man, I was like, it's a culture shock. You move down here at 15. When you 15, especially as a boy, like you kind of like coming into your own, developing into a young man and stuff. And so you move 1,000 miles across the country. The culture is completely different. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm away from all my family. I don't have no family down here. I'm having to try to make friends, but it's hard when you're the only cat that's from like New York, and you come down here in the South. So the girls was liking, the new boy from New York, but then the guys is slick hating. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to deal with, the adversity when it come to that. Like I'm going to school, like with knives and stuff on me, ready to slice somebody up or poke somebody because I'm young, I'm small, and I talk different, I dress different, and these cats is feeling threatened by me because all the ladies is giving me attention. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I was dealing with, like, I guess you say bullying, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So it was like I was ready, like I was going through it. Like I hated it down here, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm away from everybody I love and care about, and then I'm down here in a whole new environment, and it's like I don't know none of these people. I don't like the way they talk to me. I don't like, what I'm going through. And so that was another reason that got me into writing music, because it was almost like therapeutic to try to write my feelings down, like poetry. And that's how I really started developing the skills of writing.
And like you say, you had to adapt down here. Yeah. And you got a lot of hate, and there was a lot of adversity with that. But you had a group, Baby Mob.
Well, before I even had Baby Mob, man, I signed I ain't really signed a deal, but I got down with a crew called Fat Sacks Entertainment.
Talk about that a little bit. How did that come about?
So, like, I lived in the trailer park off of Mac Johnson Road, Friendly Lane Estates, and across the street from Friendly Lane Estates, it was another trailer park, and in that trailer park, is this cat named Holly. Okay. Now he my pastor. He's Pastor Holly now. That's right. But like Holly. Like Holly was already doing music and stuff, but he was in the streets and stuff at the same time. So one of my homeboys that took me to his trailer and was like, yo, you got to hear him rap. So I rapped for him, and he's like, oh, you got potential, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, always go over there and try to rap and everything for him, and he give me a couple pointers here and there, but we never really linked up for real. And then when I got outside of high school, when I graduated high school, I happened to see him at the gas station on Grassdale one day, and he asked me what I was getting into. I was like, nothing. And he's like, look, take me to the, let's ride to the studio. So he took me to the studio up in Adairsville, and I just was watching them rap, you know. And this is when I got, you know, this cat from Adairsville named Polo, and what's his name, Young South, Lil Timmy at the time, we called him Lil Timmy. Like, Holly gave South the name Young South. And so they ended up putting me down with the crew. But really, for like the first month or so, I didn't even get to rap. Like, I was just his driver. Because I was young and was clean, you know what I'm saying? So I was just driving him around. So I was just putting in my work, just driving him around. And then one day he finally was like, yo, go in the booth and do something. So I was kind of nervous, but I went in there and I killed it. And then everybody was like, yo, we thought he was just your driver. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I ended up getting down with them. And like me and South was like the two young guns out the crew. I think South was like 15, 16 at the time, and I was like 18. Maybe going on 19, and yeah, so we was like the two young ones and stuff out, and then you know, I was hard headed, you know, like wanting to I was just ready to go out there and do my thing, you know what I'm saying, and Holly was really trying to coach me and do the artist development and stuff with me and everything like that, and I was impatient, you know, I was young, impatient, and it was like I just wanted to drop music, you know, get music out there, get my name and face out there. So I ended up like leaving that situation, and that's when I started my own crew, Baby Mob. Yeah. So like, and it seemed like a lot of the people that was with Baby Mob was all transplants. You know, like I wasn't raised down here, so it's like sometimes when you're not raised in a certain environment and you come down here after a certain time, it's kind of hard to get taken in. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like a lot of people that was down with Baby Mob was all transplants from like Job Corps. You know, we met each other working at different factories and stuff like that. And all of them got sent here from Job Corps. And you already know what Job Corps is. Yeah. You know, like you going to prison or you going to Job Corps. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the cats that was with me with Baby Mob, they kind of really started picking up the flag of Baby Mob like it was their new set. You know, they not, you know, I had my homeboys, they was from, you know, Mississippi, Carolina, Jersey, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, we naturally all just gravitated to each other because we all foreign to Cartersville. And so we all kind of all just bonded and formed our own crew together, and we just called each other, you know, called it Baby Mob.
And getting into the music industry, like when did you realize like, okay, this is real? Like I could really do something with this.
Man, so my sister was part of the crew, and she could rap, and she wrote her own rhymes, but sometimes I write rhymes and stuff too. But she, you know, it's different for a girl. She's going down to the city, you know, doing her thing. And so she had met with this one dude, and I don't know whether they was trying to talk to each other or what, but she had told him about me. So they asked me to come down to Atlanta. So I went down to Atlanta, and they kind of just like was making me freestyle. You know, like they was turn on, like they had like a CD with different beats and stuff on it, and they was just playing beat after beat, making me rap, and I rapped for like 30 minutes for them. And I mean, back then I just had raps for days.
Was you a teenager when you doing?
No, I was like 20, going on 21.
Okay.
21, almost 22.
Okay.
And so they ended up signing me. So I signed with them, and it was a boutique label. It was like a artist development deal with Arista Records. Okay. So like Arista had like LaFace and, you know, like all of that, but it was like a subsidiary of Arista. So I signed with them, and they started. They put me in the studio with a producer named No ID. So like No ID is like Kanye West's mentor. Okay. And so he the one who kind of like helped mentor Kanye West and everything, and he did most of the production on Jay-Z's 444 album and everything. Okay. He like a OG producer from Chicago, but he was down here in Atlanta working. So he gave me like a beat CD with like 10 beats and stuff on it, and I started working on a demo with the No ID beats. And then shortly after I started recording the demo, stuff like that, I guess the executives of the label they was also, because like when you with a boutique label and it's an artist development deal, it's not like a real record deal. It's like a deal for them to develop you into an artist to try to get you a deal.
Okay.
You know, so they can drop you, or they can be like, okay, yeah, we go put some money into them. So they ain't never really invest no money. They besides me getting the beat CD and getting to be in the studio with no ID. That was the most. And then, you know, they had me on a workout regimen, a diet to clear my skin, stuff like that. You know, and so I guess they had shopped my demo to a couple people, and they had shopped it with like Rockefeller. So like at the time, Lenny Santiago, they call him Lenny S. He was like one of the head A&Rs for Rockefeller Def Jam. Okay. So I just got finished getting laid off from my job. I was, you know, washing cars at that time at a dealership. I'm washing cars. I got laid off from my job. It's like 2002. I come home. I'm out. I don't know what I was out doing, but I think I just got another job selling shoes at the sports shoe up there by Walmart. So I think I just got a job up there. So I'm coming home from work. And I come home from work, and when I pull up in the driveway, my wife and my sister come outside, and they up there throwing up the Rockefeller sign and stuff, right? And I'm like, what is y'all doing? And it was like, Rockefeller Records just called the house looking for you. They said they heard your demo. And I was like, y'all lying. And they was like, nah. And so, you know, I called the number back, and it was Def Jam's like headquarters in New York City.
Straight up.
Yeah, so he called back probably like 2 days later, and I missed the call again. It was like we just kept playing phone tag, and it's like when I called a number back, you know, it's a secretary, and I could just be anybody off the street trying to call to talk to the A&R trying to get a record deal. She don't know that he actually called me first. You know what I'm saying? So I'm leaving messages. You know, he only called like 2 times. So at then I'm like, yo, I'm about to sign with Rockefeller. You know what I'm saying? Like it's about to be on. Like I said, it's like 2002, around 2002, 2003 maybe. And yeah, so I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, this thing about to work out, because the artist management deal fell through. The artist development deal fell through. Like they got into some legal issues and stuff like that. And I'm talking about like the apartment that I was going to go meet with them and do the business meetings and all that stuff was like ghost, like
gone.
Yeah, everything was just gone one day. So man, so I was like, I actually went through like a little depression, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking, man, I'm about to blow up, you know what I'm saying? I just signed this development deal. I'm in the studio with no ID, you know what I'm saying? The Rockefeller call, and then I can't get in touch with them. So you know, I went through a little bit of a spell right there, but then I was like, nah, that means I got something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I got to keep pushing. So that's when we started really, really going strong with Baby Mob Entertainment, and just man, we was just going down to the city, doing every artist showcase, every open mic that I could do, just trying to really make a name for myself. And by 2005, I got nominated for the Atlanta Independent Music Awards. At the time, they had a Atlanta Independent Music Awards, and I got nominated for like rap artist of the year. So I didn't win, but just being nominated, you know, Atlanta, a hot spot right then at that time in the early 2000s. So to be nominated and to be rubbing shoulders with people in the city like that and everything like that, I knew I was on to something. Yeah.
So, and through this whole thing, I'm assuming you ain't getting paid for it though, right? You ain't getting paid for it, right?
I always I mean, I held down regular jobs and stuff like that, but I was selling out the trunk. You know, like I was burning back then. You burn your CDs and get CDs duplicated. I was getting my CDs and stuff. I was, you know, still going to the studio and just dropping independent mixtapes and stuff like that. And I'm just every weekend I'm hitting Town Center, I'm hitting Cumberland, I'm hitting gas stations, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just selling CDs and stuff out the trunk. So I mean, I was getting paid just from pushing my own stuff, you know, making my own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see it you see it actually going somewhere with the music. And like, how long did you do this before you start actually doing shows? And because you DJ too.
Yeah, that ain't come till a little bit later though.
And I want to speak on that as well. So you're doing the music, and when did you start getting into the DJing?
Probably around. It was probably around 2004, 2005. Because it used to be a spot on Tennessee Street here in Cartersville called La Cubana. and it's just cleared out. It's just a flat concrete slab now. But I met the owners. It was a older Cuban guy. He took a liking to me, so he would let me host rap battles and concerts and stuff up there at La Cubana. But I didn't know nobody who DJ'd, but they had an in-house system. So me and my homeboy DJ Don Julio, we learned how to mix between. They had like the CDJs, you know what I'm saying, like the twin CD turntables and stuff. So we would learn. I was burning CDs, mixed CDs and stuff like that with all the newest tracks, downloading songs off LimeWire and Napster and all that stuff. Yeah. And so we was hosting things at La Cubana, and so we would have like different artists and stuff, local artists and stuff like that, come up there and perform and do the battles, and we'd host parties and stuff up at La Cubana, and that's how I learned. And eventually, like when that kind of shut down, we started bought our own DJ equipment. Yeah. And
what you like doing more, DJing or making the music?
I enjoy doing the music. Like I actually DJ'd a wedding last night. It was clicking on all cylinders. I love like helping people. Like I like doing the weddings and the corporate events more so than clubs. You know what I'm saying? Clubs don't pay nothing. But you do corporate events and weddings and stuff. That's where you get paid pretty decent money. You know what I'm saying? So like the DJing is not something I wouldn't say is not something I'm passionate about. It's just another tool in my tool belt. You know what I'm saying, that I can make a living off of.
And you got a lot of tools in your tool belt, though, G.
Yeah,
you do. You got a lot of tools in your tool belt. And have you ever wrote for somebody else?
A couple times, but not like consistently. Like I said, I would sometimes write for my sister, but she could write her own stuff. But if I had an idea for a song and everything, like when we was doing the Baby Mob group, I would probably write stuff, for that. But like she could write her own stuff as well too. So she was a dope MC in her own right.
Yeah.
And like I wrote for some of my homeboys who wasn't really rappers, but I just wanted to try to get them on the tracks to do stuff, and I would write to just try to get them on there and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you just dropped the album not too long ago, man.
Yeah. Tears for Sale.
Tears for Sale. And one of your biggest songs on there was Cleanse My Soul.
Yeah.
If I ain't mistaken. When I listened to it, and you talk about a lot in that. And just with making that song, what was you going through at that time?
Man, probably 2 years ago.
Just with the whole album, though. Yeah, like, what was you going through at that time?
Man, grief and depression and anxiety and, lack of belief, like distrust, stuff like that. Like my best friend, who I grew up with on the block before I moved down here to Cartersville, his name was Emil. I've known him since I was like 11 years old. And he ended up becoming like a big brother to me, because when I moved down here to Georgia, it was like that Boys in the Hood clip, like when Trey leaving the house and he's waving out the back. That's exactly what I was doing, like waving out the back of the truck as we driving away to get ready to come down here to Georgia. Me and him stayed in touch, all through high school, and then after high school, he ended up moving down here to Georgia. And he was like one of the essential members of Baby Mob. You know what I'm saying? He was like my right hand man. You know what I'm saying? But he's like an older brother. He always looked out for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, man, he protected me like I was his little brother. You know what I'm saying? And so like he passed away suddenly. He moved back. He moved back up to Buffalo or to New York for a while, and then he moved back down here in 2023, the summer of 2023. And, we had both stopped doing music because, we had families and just life things and stuff going on. And, we was talking about, like, hey, let's make another run for it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shoot, Griselda doing it, and they our ages pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if they could do it with they independent grimy style, we could do it again too. So, that's what the goal was. He was coming out here helping me in the shop sometimes and stuff like that. And, that's what the plan was me and him to start working on some music and stuff again. And, man, he just passed suddenly, February 6th, 2024. And, man, like,
recent.
Yeah, so it's like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody you pretty much know your whole life. You know what I'm saying? He died like, 6 days, like February 7th, 2024. He died like 6 days before his 46th birthday. You know what I'm saying? So I've known him. I was about to turn 45. I've known him for 34, 35 years out of my life. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, it's like, how do you do life with somebody without somebody here that's all you know?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my son's godfather. You know, he was there for everything. You know, always my biggest motivator. You know, like when I write something, he's like one of the first people I call. You know, he probably was the first person I ever call. Every time I write a rhyme, sometimes he'd just call and ask me to rhyme for him. You know, like he was one of my biggest, you know, he believed in me the most, it seemed like, and always pushed me and brag about me. And I remember one of the last things he told me, you know, he came down here probably like a week or so before he passed, because he stayed up in, he was staying in Calhoun. You know, he was just out sitting in the shop watching me build something. And he's like, yo, man, I'm proud of you, bro. He's like, from where we came up, he's like, look at everything that you accomplished and everything. He's like, dude, like, I'm proud of you. He's like, you did it, man. We made it out the hood and you doing good for yourself. And that's like the last thing he said. And man, I was like brokenhearted when he passed. Like one of the things he's talked about, like, he was telling me I don't cry. He's like, man, I ain't never seen you cry, dude. He's like, you don't never cry. He's like, man, he's like, man, he said, you could cry, bro. And then after he passed, dude, like the floodgates open. Like I cried so much. That's why I called the album Tears for Sale. And you know what I'm saying? And that first track was like Cleanse My Soul. Because it's like, man, it was like, I guess I've been holding so much stuff. And you know, sometimes as men, it's hard for us to open up when we dealing with different things and stuff.
Especially as black men.
Yeah, so, you know, like, I'm used to not talking to nobody. You know what I'm saying? So like, man, it was like, all right, E, you finally made me cry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and it's like, I just think about him. And I remember, you know, his granddaughter, he just had a granddaughter right before he passed away. And it came up on her birthday later that year. And I went up to the birthday party up in Calhoun, and they had a picture of him sitting at the table, a picnic table in the backyard. And then his son, one of his sons and stuff came up, and his son probably about 10 years old, and his son it's like I couldn't stop staring at his son. And it's like his son looked just like him, like when we was kids growing up. You know what I'm saying? And I was on my way home from the birthday party, and I stopped at the gas station and everything and broke down crying in the gas station. You know, like trying to hurry up and get out of there before people think that I'm crazy or something, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, man, I was just sad, you know what I'm saying? Because I was just thinking about my boy. And so that's why I named the album Tears for Sale. It's like, and then it's, you know, like probably about 3 weeks after we had his funeral, I had a mild heart attack. And then like that was March 2nd, I had a mild heart attack. And then April 2nd, my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, passed away suddenly. So it was like, man, back to back, just getting hit with stuff. And then later on that, like right after the summer hit and everything, our dog died. You know what I'm saying? Suddenly, we was just getting hit. You know, I was like, man, life hit me like these Kendrick Lamar diss tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I couldn't get a break. It seemed like, you know, it's like, but you gotta put on a strong face for everybody else, because like, you know, life don't stop for everybody else. You know, people still hit me up, asking me to build stuff, asking me to DJ, asking me to design stuff. People asking me for money. You know what I'm saying? And I'm over here crushed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, don't nobody ask you how you doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody really care. If you feel like don't nobody really care. You know what I'm saying? That's all they think. They look at you as a figure. You know, and it's like, for so long, that's all I have been to people was Jac Rip. You know what I'm saying? But don't nobody ever look at you as being the human. You know what I'm saying? Because you always the strong person, the person that they feel like always got it together, always got business going on and stuff like that. And they don't know that you crushed on the inside, that you having suicidal ideologies and stuff like that. And you feel like nobody really respect you or nobody really care about what you got going on.
What kept you going?
Man, I started going to therapy. I started going to therapy, and they got me to start writing again. And I started writing that album, that Tears for Sale album. And I mean, I ended up writing that whole album in like 2.5 months, maybe 2.5, 3 months. I did the whole album. Yeah, and I was like, it took me a little bit longer because I stopped doing music. I hadn't really did no music since like the end of 2016.
And I was gonna ask you that gap.
Yeah.
Like, like
I was working at Georgia Power, man, and just like depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like I quit going to church. I quit doing things for people and everything like that because it was like, you know, I was just going through a phase like, what is that all for? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it was like I was questioning my relationship with the church, and it was like, you know, like when my wife was working for the church, and the church, that they knew that I was talented in so many different areas. They was using me for different things, and it was like I was just tired of working. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was wanting to go to church and get poured into. You know what I'm saying? And it was feel like I was just going to church and work. So I was just looking at these pastors, and just looking at their sermons as just being performative. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's like I got tired of it. It was like once you see behind the veil and see like what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I didn't really care for it no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like I didn't believe. You know what I'm saying? And it just that it draws depression. It's like because like with much knowledge and wisdom comes much grief. You know what I'm saying? Once you start really learning the truth, that's why they say ignorance is bliss. You know what I'm saying? Once you start learning the truth about different things and stuff like that, it's hard to be jovial about different things. You know what I'm saying?
I could definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
I could definitely relate to that. And okay, so you said you was working at Georgia Power through that time. When did you like stop working at Georgia Power, or like just say, you know, I'm done with this working? Because you said, you know, you was working, you was impressed with it, and when did you say, okay, I'm done with this working, and I'm finna do my thing?
When COVID hit, so like I was doing pretty good with the DJ stuff. Early on 2020, the end of 2019, beginning 2020, I was doing really good with the DJ stuff. DJing parties, booking a lot of DJ gigs and stuff. And then COVID hit, everything started getting shut down. And I mean, like ever since like when President Trump had his first you know term in office and stuff, like you know you feel the change in the country, the atmosphere. You know, like these people feel emboldened now.
Yeah, most
you know
the good old boys.
Yeah, so you know, like Georgia Power up here, the plant up here definitely has the good old boy system. And somebody had hung a noose on one of my piece of equipment while I was at work. I don't know they did it. I don't think they did it specifically targeted at me, but it was on my equipment for my rounds. And when me and my coworkers was going to do the rounds, they came with me that one day to do the rounds because, you know, sometimes we'd go out as teams to go and check our equipment because the power plant is a big power plant. And, you know, I was checking the eye wash station. You got to check all of your emergency equipment just in case it's an emergency or something like that. And somebody had a noose hanging from the eye wash station on my, you know, on my spot.
Oh, wow.
And so my coworker, you know, he grabbed it and ripped it down and he threw it in the trash can and stuff. And everything, and then 2 weeks later, they called an emergency meeting to everybody to go to different meet-up places on a plant. Somebody else had found another noose somewhere else, and then my coworker, he was like, "Yo, you gonna tell them about the one we found?" So I raised my hand. I told him about the one we found. Man, but like ever since that happened, it's like you work with these guys 12-hour days. You know, anywhere from 8 to 12-hour days, and you spend more time with these guys that you work with than you do your own family. So it's like now. It's like, you know, is this friendship or this relationship real? Like, do y'all really care? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, my coworker that worked directly with me, the ones that worked directly with me, we had good relationships. But it's a lot of people that work on plant site. It's a Georgia Power, you know, it's a big plant. And but still, it still had them thoughts going through. It's like, man, you got to go to work. People hanging nooses and stuff up. You know what that represents. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, I just really started hating it. And then when the whole George Floyd thing and stuff was going on, man, I'm working inside the pump house and I'm doing rounds and stuff like that. And you start seeing stuff on your cell phone about this George Floyd and everything. and I'm trying not to watch it because who wants to watch another black man get lynched? You know, live and everything. But it's like it's no way around it. Everywhere you turn, when you pull your phone up, it's on somewhere. You walk into the break room, somebody got the news and they're talking about it. Man, I think I had my first anxiety attack. Like my heart racing, and man, I couldn't, I felt like I wanted to cry. You know what I'm saying? And it was like I called my wife. I'm like, yo, I'm about to come home. Something going on. I don't feel good. I didn't realize I was having an anxiety attack. But it's like you got to go back into the break room with all your coworkers, your white coworkers, and you got to feel like you got to act like everything is cool. And it's not cool to just keep seeing this type of stuff happen to our community over and over again. So it's like, man, I had to get out of there. So I started, I started going to therapy, and my therapist was telling me, she was like, if you in a hostile work environment, you got to figure out what your next move is. Are you going to stay there? Or are you going to, try to figure something else out? And I got diagnosed with clinical depression, PTSD, and anxiety, and so, man, and that's when I started taking up woodwork. My family bought me a saw for my birthday in April of 2020, and I started watching YouTube, and I just started building stuff in my backyard. And then after that whole George Floyd thing, and I had the anxiety and stuff, I put in for a leave of absence, and I've been there right under 9 years. So I had almost 7 weeks of sick time built up. So I took the whole 7 weeks under FMLA, and under that 7 weeks, we built the Jackson Park Creations website. I started taking on more clients, building stuff for other clients, and then I told my wife, I was like, I'm quit. And she was like, she didn't want me working there anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, after my 7 weeks and stuff was up, I went back to work, and I just was working every week and taking one vacation day every week until all my vacation was up, and I was waiting until I could refinance my house and pull some equity out of my house. I pulled some money out of the equity in my house. I paid off some debt, and when my house closed on the refinance and everything, and I finished that last day of vacation, I dipped out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Dipped out, and I was like, man, I can make the same money I was making at Georgia Power, which I was making good money. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I could make that by myself.
And that's a scary transition though, because for a lot of people, because you secured a job, and when you let that go, you solely, your income is solely based on you now, and your work. And like with that transition, did you have any doubt with that though, going into that?
I mean,
quitting your job,
not having no doubt. It was just like I knew I could make it happen between the different skill sets and stuff that I have. Okay. Between DJing, graphic design, woodworking, and everything like that. It's just you gotta get out there and get it. You just like nobody just gonna give it to you because they feel sorry for you or nothing like that. You just gotta go out there and get it. So I mean, it's still days like that. Like I don't know what's coming up next week. You know what I'm saying? But like God gonna provide. You know what I'm saying? So I know something gonna come through. Somebody always hit. And I tell my wife that sometimes. I'm like, man, like I thank God for the daily bread, but sometimes I want some monthly bread. You know what I'm saying? I want some surplus in there sometimes and stuff. And the crazy thing is, like, I documented this whole process of me building Jackson Park out, building this whole property and everything, and people follow and watch and everything. But it seems like the most support and collaborations that I get is with people outside of my community.
Why you think that is though? In your opinion?
I think it's multi-layered. I definitely think it's like a variety of different things. I know like I'm not in everybody's budget for the different things that I do. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not in everybody's budget. Sometimes I work with people. I think people assume a lot of things. I think sometimes I've always had really big ideas for Cartersville, for Bartow County, Cartersville area. And I think that sometimes my big ideas make other people uncomfortable. Kind of like people who have a small town mentality. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy living in a small town and everything. I love the slower pace and everything. That's why I haven't left. But at the same time, I wish that people are a little bit more open to thinking outside the box, because I've always thought outside the box and thought bigger, you know. And I think sometimes, when you show your excellence, it reminds people of their mediocrity. If people are content with being mediocre, you know what I'm saying. And not saying that's for everybody, but I think in a lot of cases it can be. Because I feel like it's no reason for the services, everything that I offer in this area, that I don't have the support of this area with as much as I've done. Whether it's come from me helping different nonprofits, doing community giveaways, different things, opportunities. I've always given platforms to people in this area, to artists in this area. I've always been willing to share information and help put other people on.
Because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people kind of gatekeep and not try to, share the plug type. You know what I mean?
I've never been a gatekeeper. Not saying that I've never had gatekeeper thoughts. Because sometimes it's like, especially in hip hop, it's competitive by nature and everything like that. But so sometimes you be like, dang, them boys dope. But then it's like, I'm dope too. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like what God got for me, he got for me, and what he got for them, he got for them. So it's like, it's not gonna stop nothing. So it's like, why gatekeep? Like, I'd rather collab with somebody and us come up together. You know what I'm saying? If I could get 100 of us and I get $1 off of, 100 us working together, it's easier than me trying to get $100 doing it all by myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, but I wish it was a little bit better. I've won and I've received different, awards and different praises from certain organizations and stuff in town. And I've always tried to give back, as much as I could. But I definitely feel like at times it's not reciprocated. You know what I'm saying? I don't know whether it's because I'm not born and bred down here and I don't have like roots or anything established or anything like that. I don't know. But I wish it was better. But I'm thankful for the people that do support and rock. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Because sometimes your supporters ain't gonna be the people or you expect to be. And then I tell people all the time, you can't, you can't expect certain people who you have different relationships with to be your customers or your supporters, because that's not what your relationship is based off of. You know what I'm saying? I would love for Jamal to buy a copy of my album, but I can't expect you to do that just because you know me. You got to be a fan of it. You might think I'm dope, but that might not be your cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm never going to go platinum in Cartersville anyway. So it's my job to get outside of Cartersville and to create my own fan base and everything like that. And anybody else who's affiliated or knows me locally and everything, if they do support, it's a bonus. If they do want to get on the team and help out and everything like that, that's a bonus. But it's like, I gotta grind like nobody else is out here, to help me anyway.
Most definitely. And with the hip hop, because you transitioned to gospel music as well too, though. Or gospel rap.
Yeah.
What put you on that path, or what made you make that transition? What pushed you to that though?
I mean, like, I was going to church, but it was really just like working, like going to church. But like in 2009, two of my first cousins, CJ and Lil Rob, both of them got murdered within like 2 months of each other. And I mean, like, I took that real hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and CJ, I don't know if a lot of black people could understand the feeling of growing up in the hood and your cousins and stuff, we all sleep in the same bed, like head, foot, foot to head, you know what I'm saying, like that. Yeah. So it's like I grew up sleeping in the same beds with my cousins and stuff like that. We all lived in the same house. And so like CJ was like a big brother to me. So, after he got killed, like I took that real hard. And then Lil Rob got killed 2 weeks later. And my uncle Robert, Lil Rob's father, like he was murdered 10 years to the day, when Lil Rob got killed.
This in Buffalo?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, it's like, man, it was like, it's got to be something more than this. Like, I I can't be out here glorifying. You know, I ain't really do gangster rap or nothing like that, but it was like, you know, I was real competitive with it. You know what I'm saying? I spit some hardcore lyrics and stuff with my crew. We was Baby Mob after all. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, you know, I had kids at the time. You know, I got young kids, and it's like you start thinking about that, the lyrics that you spit and you hearing them recite your stuff, and then you dealing with, you know, people that you love and care for getting killed in the streets, and this is the same music that we listen to and glorify and stuff all the time. It's like it don't make you feel no type of way. It's like you can't come from somebody's funeral, you crying and sad that somebody just got murdered in the streets, and then next thing you know, you turn on the music, and that's exactly what the music glorifying. You know, it's the, you know, genocide of our people. You know what I'm saying? And it's all part of the master plan. You know what I'm saying? To you know, I mean, we some of the most resilient people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but it's like we got to operate outside of the traps that they try to keep us bound in. You know. So that's why I went that way, and I dropped my first album, Testimony.
And just going back into what you were saying, because you know, I love conversations like that. And the traps, you speak about the traps within the community as black people. What's some of the traps you think that we're going to say the higher ups may have set for us? Just us being in America as black people.
Man, it's so many. It's so many. It's like it's so multi-layered and tiered and complex. It's like no one thing. The music is definitely part of it.
I was just gonna talk about that.
The music is definitely part of it. I mean, you can go anywhere back to, you know, the vagrancy laws right after the Civil War, the vagrancy laws, you know, redlining, Jim Crow, you know, I mean, and people don't think that stuff like trauma and all that stuff it embeds in your DNA. So that stuff is passed down. So people can sit up and argue and be like, oh, you wasn't no slave and everything like that. But the results of chattel slavery here in America, it gets passed down generational.
Epigenetics.
Yeah. So it's like you got to deal with that. And then on top of that, it wasn't that long ago that we got grandparents in this area.
Exactly.
That dealt with segregation and had to fight in the civil rights and had to deal with seeing the Klan and crosses burning and, you know, segregation and all of that stuff and everything. So it's like it's still black people to this day that go in through the back door at the 4-way lunch stop on Main Street.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they can sit up and argue and all of this stuff, but like all of this stuff plays a part. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, the CIA with the crack epidemic in the 80s and stuff like that. Black people wasn't bringing in AKs and automatic weapons and crack and all that stuff. We were importing stuff from Colombia and all that stuff here. You know what I'm saying? That stuff was put. The interstate system, the I-75, you know, going directly through black neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Lake Allatoona, you know, getting built. You know, Lake Lanier getting built over Thomasville. You know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff plays a part. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's man, we can go down a rabbit hole. You know, like I love history, and I could read up on all this stuff. You know, like black people wasn't allowed to have life insurance until like the late 60s. You know what I'm saying? Why you think it's such a problem now that we got so many black people when they pass away, we doing fish fries and cookouts because they don't have life insurance? Because it's generational. You know what I'm saying? Man, if we got every black person right now to go ahead and get a life insurance policy, we could help kill the wealth gap in America in one generation. You know, we get insurance on our cell phones and on our cars and stuff like that, but we don't have insurance on our bodies.
We weren't really never taught that growing up. I know I wasn't.
Yeah, we wasn't taught that because our grandparents wasn't allowed to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, like how do you teach something if people don't know no better, or they was always told they couldn't do stuff like that?
Exactly.
You know?
And even with the whole credit thing, you know, I wasn't taught nothing about credit when I was growing up.
Man, credit and stuff is rooted in what you call it, racism. Credit is rooted in racism. You know, that's what it come on down to. But yeah, it's like we got to teach ourselves and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this property ain't in my name. This property is protected under another entity. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have it in my personal name no more.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like we got to teach each other, you know, different things and stuff like that. Yeah.